Hello, my name is Jonathan Forster and welcome to the Multi-Story Thinking podcast on interior design. I'm an interior designer and educator. My job is to improve quality of life and productivity by helping people to create beautiful and practical spaces to live and work in. The Multi-Story Thinking podcast takes an educational slant to the interior design world. If, like me, you are curious about how things are done within the industry, how people get their breaks, and how they develop their careers, and get some top tips and advice, then this is a podcast for you. So sit back, relax, as we help unravel the mysteries of interior design. Maggie Swift is the founding partner of Unframed Digital, a bespoke marketing agency based in Denver and Los Angeles, specializing in the built environment and working with architecture and interior design practices, construction and manufacturing industries. Unframed Digital acts as a partner to marketing teams, specializing in SEO strategies with a data-driven approach. Maggie is passionate about optimized foundations, website strategy, customer-first methods, and helping marketers thrive. I spoke to Maggie via Zoom in July 2025. In this episode, we discover how Maggie began her career in publishing and her passion for the built environment, the role of data tracking and data decision-making in raising profitability, why you should budget for SEO and website optimization, the positives and negatives of AI, and why, if you want a marketing campaign, you better start by sharpening your axe. I was really interested in your approach to SEO, and it's an industry that almost everybody any person running a business is probably bombarded by emails from people who say that they can sort out your business with their SEO strategy. And but what I thought from your approach seemed to be really interesting in that, you were kind of quite motivated by the metrics behind it, and also, adding real value. So if you could just tell us a bit more about what you do and how you do it, I'd be really interested to see, what sets you apart from all the other SEO companies. Because, this idea which you mentioned earlier when we were talking before we started about trust, I don't think anybody really looks at an SEO sort of email coming in cold call sort of style and think, oh yeah, these guys are the ones I should be working with. But that's obviously been an issue in how people relate to your industry, and how, so how did you get into it? What are you doing? What do you do? And how did you get into it, really?
Yeah. It's funny because yes, even I get bombarded with SEO emails, which is quite ironic. And I do feel, and I think a lot of SEOs will probably agree with this, that we're sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the marketing world. And unfortunately, a lot of has gone into that. But what we really feel is important at this stage is to heal and try to fix as much as possible that broken SEO agency to brand relationship, to start to build up that trust again. And it should be trustworthy because SEO really does become, for most businesses, the top performing digital marketing channel that they have if done correctly and if done the right way. So we really felt passionate about giving clients this really amazing experience working with us. Also, just because we can't sleep at night, disappointing people. But we really wanted to just start to take and chip away at those steps and say, hey, there are SEO people out here who love honesty, who have integrity, who take accountability, and who really just want to do good work and help build and empower your business to grow more aggressively.
So what's the difference between then your approach, or what were you trying to overcome, I guess, the idea of you talk about transparency, but I mean,
Mhm.
how do SEO companies prove that they're making a difference? I think that's what everyone fears. They're going to plow a load of money in. They're not going to know which sort of content's working. What is the
Mhm.
impact on the bottom line? Were you looking at those kind of things as part of your approach?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because we say that we're really data driven in our approach. And we are really passionate sort of data nerds, if you will. That's one of my favorite parts is analyzing data. And the reason why it's kind of funny too to say data driven is that if you're really a keen SEO person and you love SEO, you know and understand that SEO is 70% data analysis, if not even more than that. So, but I think ultimately one of the biggest concerns and sort of complaints that I hear from prospects of mine is that their past SEO agency wasn't transparent enough. They didn't really understand how SEO was impacting their bottom line. They didn't understand what the SEO agency was doing on a day to day or even on a month to month at a high level. So that lack of transparency is enormously problematic, especially for a marketing channel that is so technical and so complex that the normal average person, even as a CMO or even as a seasoned marketing leader, with even a Harvard degree, right, can't simply lift the hood and truly say, this is working, this is what should be going on, and these people are who they say they are. So it does get a little bit murky, and it's really even more vital because of the inherent nature of SEO for us to be as transparent as possible, for us to be as educational as possible, and for us to really validate our work, especially as you said, people are spending a lot of money on that. So I feel like that's an answer, like a first answer to the question or what we're talking about. But the other part to this is that oftentimes we find that pricing is and cost of SEO is so very variable, right? You've got some SEO agencies that are charging, $800 a month for SEO. Some companies are charging 1,000, and then you've got companies that are charging anywhere from 5 grand all the way up to 25 grand, 30 grand a month. So I think transparency is key. Really doing the great work is key. And ultimately saying, as a pricing model, hey, $1,000 is not going to get to where you want to go simply, and that's the fact. And we can't even charge you $1,000 because there's no way that we can really effectively budget our time in order to do everything that it takes for SEO. So we're very upfront and honest, in addition to all of the other aforementioned items
Yeah.
when it comes to a partnership.
So you obviously like the tech side of things, but you didn't start in that. You were into publishing previously. What was the kind of just a bit of history of that experience, but also what was the point you decided to launch into SEO and really go for it?
Yeah, yeah, we came from publishing. My business partner and I was the ad director for a publishing company and ended up building out the digital department essentially with my publisher's help for, 5 different magazines essentially. And ultimately getting our hands dirty into that digital marketing world really allowed me to get a glimpse into what data tracking and data decision making can bring to companies and marketing teams, how that can bring a higher profitability, but also really empower this sense of confidence in what direction to take to grow the business more effectively. When we started our company, I think a lot of marketing agencies begin this way. We'll do whatever you want as long as you write us a check, right? It doesn't matter if you want us to do e-newsletters, sure, we can do that. Social media, no problem. But obviously, that's not tenable. It's not something that's going to take us to where we want to go in the long run. And so we really started chipping away. What do we like the most? What do we enjoy the most? But also, what are our clients asking for the most? Where's the demand? And then what are we making the most money on? But also, what was really important for me is what had the most viability in such a crazy, like digital first, technology first world. And I just thought Google's not going anywhere. Search engine in particular allow a customer, a user, to find the information that they want when they want it and in as much detail as they want it. On the other hand, it allows brands to essentially measure purchase intent and target not exact purchase intent, but pretty darn close purchase
Mm.
intent, because you're using those keyword strategies, right? You're not searching for pizza near me unless you have a hankering for pizza, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that purchase intent also led me to believe this is a really viable marketing channel for us to do. But again, I also just loved that it was based off of the company's own assets, the website, optimizing the website, which frankly, I find to be the business's greatest asset as a business.
So you learn all those skills on the job with your publishing role, and then thought, right, we're going to go for it, set up. And you were working with your partner Laura, aren't you? And that was in do you set up in Colorado? Now you've got you're in two different locations, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, we started in Denver, and then I relocated to Los Angeles. So we sort of set up a satellite in Los Angeles. But honestly, we work with people across the world. I've
Yeah.
got people in Croatia, in Serbia, in the Philippines, in Mexico, in Canada, and then of course in various parts of the United States. So we absolutely are just kind of remote first, just because we want to have access and cohesion across
Yeah.
worldwide talent.
And
Yeah.
and the target market for your the companies that you're trying to promote is built out from your experience within the design sector.
Yeah, we've been in architecture and design marketing for over 10 years. And we just feel really passionate about about the built environment in general. I, for one, it just have always loved architecture. But I really feel that there's just craftsmanship behind it. There's a story behind it that needs to be told. And it's something to not take lightly, right? You're building a home, somebody's like, essentially like the most important part of their lives almost to most people. And you're also building something that is a permanence in the community, especially on the commercial level, right? Or on the cityscape. And so that to me has a meaningful purpose. And so when I thought about, okay, this is my experience, this is also my Rolodex to start a business,
Yeah.
but this is also my passion, it just sort of made sense to me.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's a great opportunity, isn't there, to shape the world around us in that
Yeah, totally. And it allows us to like be a part of this industry without having to be a licensed architect,
yes.
where I'm like, oh, darn, I wish I had gone to architecture school and thought of that. But now we're able to be a part of the industry, but in a different fashion.
Yeah. So with your clients, what's the kind of process of how you engage with them and you go through? And I know that you do like to work with them for the longer term. And perhaps could speak to a little bit about that, that process, that cycle, I guess, that of engagement.
Yeah, definitely. So, we are a more expensive option, and with that just comes more handholding, more strategizing, more planning. I really love the Abraham Lincoln quote, where if he had 6 hours to cut down a tree, he would spend 4 of those hours sharpening the axe. That is a similar approach to what we take. So we spend a lot of time on that strategic development, the planning, the auditing, the research, really getting a feel for the existing available data, but also setting up the data infrastructure so that we have this robust hub we can continuously learn from. When it comes to learning about the brand, that is absolutely something we do as well. We really want to make sure that we are pursuing content topics, pursuing keyword strategies that align with all of their target audiences. And most of our brands do have multiple target audiences. For example, a hardware company has the homeowner, they have the interior designer, they have the architect, and they have the builder.
Mm.
So we really need to get familiar with that. And also, of course, get familiar with the goals and the KPIs and what's going to be most impactful to that marketing leader doing the best job that they can for their bosses. That's our goal is to make those marketing leaders shine. So we want to make sure that we're aligned on all of those goals as well. Working with us is a creative partnership. I like to say we're not order takers. We are proactive strategists, but we also are partners in crime. So my team are tasked with coming up with new ideas on how to generate more leads or how to increase revenue. But we also are, going back and forth often with our clients. Here's a content topic. The client might say, hey, this doesn't really make sense for whatever reason. And then we want to kind of go back and forth and figure out a creative solution so that we can appease Google and the brand and the human user. So it's very collaborative. It's very educational, I would say, very supportive, but we do like to have a good time. So I think a lot of our clients like the fact that we laugh and we're casual. It's like hanging out with your friend that's giving you really great advice and getting things done with you. We're not like the corporate level of corporate level of professionalism, if that makes sense.
I understand. Yeah, that sounds great. I think that relationship is really important, isn't it, with the people
Mhm.
involved. And that what's the typical timeline of that? I know it's not a quick fix, is it?
No, I mean, website strategizing is an ongoing process, and especially with SEO, it's a long-term strategy. So you should never expect any type of results to start happening. And by results, I mean those like bottom of the funnel, contact form submissions, add to cart and checkout actions. You should never really expect those to get as high as you want them to get for at least a year. SEO is super, super long term. So we always like to manage expectations in that way. But when we're thinking about, gosh, what was the question again? It was
How,
how long it
how long? Yeah,
takes.
what's the kind of like I guess well, you've answered it in a way, that it's a longer term relationship, isn't it? You to get
It's a
that to
longer term.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So SEO is long term in general, but a website is kind of like a garden. I mean, of course, some businesses are going to be small enough so that a website doesn't really need to evolve and change too much. But if an SEO strategy is important, if the business is growing and has those goals of growth, you are going to want to indefinitely budget out for SEO and indefinitely budget out for consistent website expansion and optimization.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks are surprised to hear about that, especially on the design firm and builder firm and architecture firm side, as opposed to maybe those product brands.
So I know this is I've just thinking about my business and the lack of how did you describe it? Optimizing and developing your website. I mean, most people think I'll do my website and then you just park it for I don't know 5 years. Something.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
talking about more or less continual up tweaking and adjusting and also I guess
Totally. Yeah.
you must be
And
this.
obviously it has to be aligned with your goals of growth, right? Like
Yes, yeah,
my friend that's an architect in Vail, Colorado, they're happy with 3 clients per year.
right,
That
yes,
portfolio of theirs is going to do the talking.
yeah.
Their prior relationships are going to drive referrals. Don't need SEO. While they need to update their portfolio, it's not like they need to expand their website aggressively or analyze user behavior on their site to optimize. But let's say you're an interior design firm or an architecture firm that has larger goals of growth. Perhaps you envision opening multiple locations. Perhaps you do envision exceeding 15, 12 employees underneath you, or perhaps you're wanting to reach a larger region. That's when you do have to consider SEO and website management as a part of an ongoing budget.
And I guess with companies that are selling products as well, where, providing they can manufacture them fast enough, the sky's the limit, isn't it? The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
100%. Yeah, product brands especially will need to be budgeting for SEO and website optimizations and expansion quite a bit more than a professional services firm of any kind. Of course, there's going to be maybe some products that are so niche in such a low competition market that perhaps it makes sense that they don't need SEO. But I think for the most part, majority of product brands in the built environment, if they do have dreams of becoming a market leader, that it really should be budgeted out indefinitely,
Yes.
forever, for the
Yeah.
rest of your life.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
The how much of the uh, are changes in the way in which Google and other browsers are assessing websites? I mean, that must be an important part of your research to keep on top of that, but also to change the way you're delivering content or the different approaches to that. But as they, I keep hearing things about, oh, Google's changed the way it spots, trawl through your website. So you've got to, you're thinking, oh God, I barely got my head around the previous version, but that
Right.
must be a constant thing, is keeping on top of what's happening at the search engine end of it.
Absolutely. It's a constant thing. And it's one of the biggest benefits of going with an outsourced agency partner because ultimately that algorithm changes, I don't know, 7, 8 to 20 times a year.
Mm,
And it's really hard to keep up with that, right? Unless you are an agency that's designed and built to actively research, actively investigate, actively test out changes to the algorithm, and actively invest in conferences and speaking to other SEOs and getting that continued education. It's really hard for a brand and an in-house SEO team, or even obviously one manager, to really stay on top of those algorithm changes. And we do that in a multitude of ways, right? We're constantly going to conferences. We're always speaking to other SEO professionals. But most importantly, is we have all of our testing sites set up, which are essentially fake websites that
yeah.
we're able to create hypotheses based on what we think the algorithm is doing and how we think the algorithm is working, create those hypotheses, implement those on the testing sites, analyze the data. If what we are doing is seeing a positive movement towards ranking that site, then we can go and apply them to our client's site. So yeah, the changes are aggressive. And obviously the biggest change, what we are seeing right now, is not even necessarily Google. It's actually the introduction of AI as a search engine and the widespread use of AI LLMs that is
Yeah. I mean,
currently massively competing with Google.
so yes, I mean, you can't help but be aware of its emergence, that everyone's talking about it. How is that
Yeah.
impacting what you're doing?
Gosh, I mean, it's been a beautiful thing. I think people that are actively using AI right now agree that it's a beautiful thing. It's speeding up processes. It's taking the minutia away from us and putting it onto the AI, the new AI team member, if you will.
Yeah,
And it's really allowing us to be more productive, more efficient, and even more creative, if you will, like kind of expanding outside of the box in an easier way. But how it's impacting search and SEO is quite interesting and very, very challenging. I think any SEO or any AI expert, quote unquote, right? Hard to believe there's already AI experts and roles established for like AI prompt engineers, but here we are.
yeah,
I think it's impossible for any of us to really say we've got a grasp on how to get companies and businesses' websites ranking in AI. We have our own hypotheses. I mean, what we know so far is that the way that users use AI to search is different than how they usually use Google. It's much more conversational. It's much longer form, in a
yeah,
question format, but that's much longer form than your normal search engine prompts. And then we also know that those that are really ranking as brand leaders, those that have been investing in certain marketing channels like PR, where their brand is being mentioned in top news sources or top publications, those are the ones that are getting chosen to show up in AI results. And so that also tells us that it's SEO is still very relevant and powerful. The negative
Yeah.
of AI, which I'll call out here, is that we've seen, I think, over a 40% drop in that top of the funnel informational keyword intent that usually people are going in droves to various websites for. And I'll give you an example of that. That might be what are the top trends in modern kitchen design? And so that is what we call an informational keyword,
Yeah.
right? The buyer intent is still top of the funnel. They're not necessarily looking for kitchen products. They're not necessarily ready to hire and talk to a salesperson at a kitchen design showroom. They're really just looking for that information and that inspiration. So what's happening now is people for those informational long tail keywords are turning to AI instead of Google. So that's a very significant drop in traffic and what was very powerful for brands. The good news is that AI sources are now more and more actually linking their resources, linking the website in which they pulled that information from.
Yes.
So that's wonderful.
So people are using a AI program to search rather than Google or other browser, and it's coming back with text like a report on that rather than specific links. Although it does have the links, I've seen the links, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're not getting but it's still finding that content somehow through the internet.
Mhm.
And I might sound like a completely old fogey here with my terminology.
No, you're doing great so far. You're
But
doing great.
so it's important for that content to be ranking or be of of rankable status so that the AI can find it because it's trawling
hmm
through all the different websites. Yeah, so it's just a maybe quite a significant nuance in how information is gathered, but you still need to have that information organized and optimized on the websites.
Yeah, oh,
Is that
100%.
how it works?
Yes. Yes, it's totally how it works. You still need to be optimizing the site for AI,
Yes.
but just in a different way. The keywords are just a little bit different.
Right. Okay. In what way then? How is it? Because keywords, whenever anyone talks about keywords, thinking about on your website, you've got to put the keywords hidden within the text or in the text. You're saying it's looking at it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, typically the AI prompts that people are putting into whatever LLM they're using
Yeah.
is going to be more conversational.
Yes,
It's
of
going
course.
to be
Yes.
more detailed. It's going to have like full sentences, full
Yeah.
questions. Whereas, Google, it's typically very short. I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I tend to search Google as if I were a 5-year-old, and I'm like, how does that even come out of my fingers? I'm much
That's
more
sort of,
educated than that.
yeah, just single unconnected words that sort of make a
Yeah, yeah.
rough
So,
sentence.
yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that the point though? It's supposed to be super quick and can almost imagine what you're trying to say. Um,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Well, and the funny thing too is to enter into another part of search is that we've got the voice search now.
Yes. Yeah.
So even just like talk to text or talk to search, right, where you're using that little microphone feature on an Apple iPhone, you're seeing some different ways of keywords, like how keywords should be strategized.
Yes.
It's getting complex out there.
It is. All the more reason to just call an expert, I think.
Yeah, let us take care of it. You've got better things to do. You've got margaritas to drink.
Certainly have. Drink responsibly, just to everyone out there. But
Yeah, drink responsibly.
yeah, I mean, but in terms of so what about AI as a tool within your business to help you? It's obviously a feature of SEO, but how are you navigating the use of AI, or I suppose trying to ensure against people thinking they can do SEO by themselves by going through Chat GPT or something? I mean, what are the impacts in terms of the operational side of your business for AI? It must be an opportunity, presumably, to do those things quicker. But are there risks that people think, oh, well, I can generate all the content myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI prompts are really difficult. If anyone has sat in front of a chat GPT or a Midjourney and tried to come up with exactly what they're looking for in something that is more mid to senior level, like complex, I think that we can all attest that it's wow, this is more challenging than I thought it would be to get to that end deliverable, that end thing that
Yeah,
I'm looking for. But ultimately, what we started doing is starting small. I mean, my SEO team has been using AI for a very long time, even before ChatGPT, in their processes, in their sort of content process as well. So adapting to ChatGPT was not second nature because it was so different, but it was a lot easier than someone like me who had a little bit of a tough time not feeling intimidated and inundated by it all. For us, where AI is really shining is in the processes, is speeding up those processes, being
yeah,
more productive, but again, also just being able to expand that creative thought process. I never thought of that. That is so cool. And that would only have been thought about or only have been in our radar if, AI was there. If we were just trying to think, we would have been limited quite a bit.
yes. I
We
think it
use it
does.
across, yeah.
Sorry, I think it does enable you to, depending on how much you know about stuff, even if you know quite a lot about something, you can extend, like you say, expand the scope of what you're dealing with by it just sort of picks up stuff, doesn't it? That you might have thought, oh, I forgot about that, or if you're and it does it so quickly that the researching around anything that you're trying to put together is just compressed ridiculously. But you still need to know what you're putting together to make sense of it and make sure it's not gobbledygook, or uh,
Yeah.
tweak it to whatever you need, the application.
A
Um,
100%. And those outlines too, that brainstorming, it's amazing
mm,
for that. And that specifically is something we use AI for, is helping us create our content outlines, given the keyword strategy, given the competitor research that we've done. So that's all a part of our prompts. Now create this
yeah,
content outline that we're going to hand off to the copywriter.
yeah.
So
It's yes. So you're bringing all of your expertise together and using that as a fast track tool to consolidate and then take it further.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
It's a fascinating area, isn't it? I think the creatives amongst us, or the creative industry, are worried that they're going to just be replaced. But I think if it's used in the right way, I'm pretty sure it's going to make their products or their services more competitive and better quality. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's obviously that underlying fear. For SEO, we're not too worried about it at this time. It's just a really complex field that needs to be mapped out. It needs to be thought of. There's so many things that you have to do to adapt quickly and be on your toes about. And then there's a lot of the human touch added to it, especially when we're thinking about different users and navigating different audience verticals. But yeah, it's something to feel concerned about. I think that's very validated, and very valid, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, and I just hope moving forward that people choose to use it with integrity and people choose to build it with integrity.
Yes. Yeah. When you're working with your clients, how much kind of groundwork do you need to do in terms of perhaps realigning their message, or getting their assets to match their brand values? So there must be an element of that, is there? And before you can start the CEO, is that a part of the process?
Yes, it is part of the process. If they do not have any type of brand voice or tone documents, that's something that's important for them to invest in so that we can really get clear on the messaging. And Absolutely. If they don't have a brand guide with visuals, if we're doing their website, we can make that for them. So I think again, we want to sharpen that axe as much as possible. We're really involved in setting the foundations.
So I've been watching you on LinkedIn, and
Oh, nice.
you're well, I mean, that's probably because the algorithms are pushing your content towards me because I keep pressing on.
Yes.
But just tell me, I mean, that's a really a great sort of format, I think, for just dumping information on people. And I was wanting you just to give us a bit of a recap on some of those things that you're recommending. So, content repurposing. Tell me about that.
Mhm. That's a great one. I'm glad you brought that one up. Content repurposing. A lot of people know about it. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like me have to be reminded of it. And I think that's important to like understand too. Even if you knew about it, it's important to get those reminders, right? Because
Yeah.
you're going a million miles a minute. Content repurposing, for those that don't know about it, is essentially creating content that can be evergreen so that when you put all that time and money and resource into creating that one piece of content, you can effectively use it over and over and over again. And even if we think about something like a social media strategy, and I'll just talk B2B at this point and LinkedIn. So you have one blog post that maybe you created a year ago. Information is still very relevant today. Go in and see how many LinkedIn posts that you can create from that one blog post. It's probably quite substantial given how short form LinkedIn social media posts are. You can also say, how can I create this one piece of blog content into a video? How can I create it into maybe a lead magnet? Maybe it's like, this has some good legs to it. Can I create this into a 10-page guide that's nicely designed that I can throw up on my website, gate it, ask for an email to download it? So thinking outside of the box and really peeling back layer by layer, one piece of content can really get you so far more efficiently across all of your content channels.
I think often people think I've got to do a post, I've got to get everything in it, I've got to, capture everything I'm thinking. But you're talking about
Yeah.
drip feeding it bit by bit.
Yeah, and this is one of the perfect examples of how AI can really impact this process, right? Blog posts, put it into ChatGPT,
Yeah.
ask them to make 15 different LinkedIn posts or social media posts on that blog post. If
Yes.
you have a video, a YouTube video, or a podcast video, throw that into an AI software called Notebook LM, have them write a blog post about it, have them write social media about it, social media posts about it.
Yeah.
So, not about it, but like break it down
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
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 So, this is a great example of where you don't necessarily need to use your brain power and time to do that. Have AI do it, and then you can just refine it based on what they spit back at you.
Okay, I might try that. I've not done that before.
Yeah.
Try that with this one, see what happens. What about shoppable posts?
Shoppable posts. So, shoppable posts are kind of fun, and the user experience for me personally needs to be tweaked a little bit. But ultimately, what we see with product brands in design, especially in design, construction, and architecture, is they're really not leveraging digital and shopping experiences and e-commerce experiences as the rest of the e-com and product world, right? Most of these product brands in our industry are really geared towards to the trade, B2B, maybe wholesalers,
Yeah.
or maybe they're wholesalers and they're trying to reach retailers. Ultimately, all of us, whether we're B2B buyers or we're B2C buyers, we're just buying stuff for our own selves. We all want the same thing. We all want transparency. We all want information when we want it, where we want it, at all hours of the night. And we all want convenience, right? So if we can think about those commonalities, we're going to be far less limited in our approach and far more effective in creating a great shopping experience online. Of course, there's always limitations. I think one of the biggest limitations that people or product brands see is that most of the time their prices are not visible. I think that this is a huge miss.
Yeah.
There's ways to make your pricing visible, but do it in a way that's gated. So Um, just some ideas there on and what I see is honestly the biggest gap in the industry for product brands specifically.
Do you think that can transfer into more service-led things? I think often, it's like when you see a post from a designer, interior designer or something, it's you're thinking, well, what's the call to action there? Do you think there should be more of that sort of approach where you're getting somebody to, because I read stuff and you just read it, and maybe if it's too long, you just stop reading, but you need
Yeah.
to engage in it, don't you? Do you think we should be taking more of that shoppable post approach to the posts which are for more like your interior design companies, architects who probably don't think they're selling anything, they
Yeah.
should that be more of, that could be a useful way of I mean, it's getting them to interact, isn't it? Getting customers to interact with you is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can build that customer loyalty before they're even a client, that's gold for you, right? And honestly, what I hear most from architecture and designers about their experience using house.com, which I'm sure everybody knows about already, is that everybody's just asking, where did you get this product? Where's this product from? And so ultimately, what people want to know is that they want to know they want information when they want it. They want
Yeah.
you to be a resource for them, whether you're B2C or B2B. And so, what we want to make sure to do with our architecture and design firms is think about the content strategies that they can deploy where they're going to be a resource, increase that customer engagement, increase that brand loyalty so that when Susie and John are looking for an interior designer for their home in Big Sky, they know who to turn to. The other play here, though, is for a design firm to take advantage of affiliate marketing and affiliate relationships where they can actually be some sort of an affiliate program partner with a brand and they can earn commission off of products that they sell through their unique links and their unique posts. So
Yes.
that's also something to look into as another revenue
Yeah.
center for your business.
Recommendations. Yeah. Oh, right. One last one, bit more techie. Backlinks. Fixing backlinks.
Ah, yeah. A lot of folks are surprised to learn that backlinks aren't forever. Diamonds are, but not backlinks.
Yeah.
So inevitably, what happens over time is, okay, so first let me start with what is a backlink? A backlink is when an outside website links to your website. Google uses it as a positive indicator. If the website is a quality site, Google uses it as a positive indicator that your site is trustworthy because you have a backlink from architecturaldigest.com. So if you have a backlink to from architecturaldigest.com,
Yeah.
Google's going to say, wow, this website is really trustworthy. So that's what a backlink is. You get backlinks from acquiring them through your SEO strategies, which typically are a pay to play model. When it comes to that, publishers have found this to be a huge source of additional revenue for them. You also will get them through PR, and the PR links are the best. They're the ones that are super high quality. They're earned media, they're super trustworthy. They're meant to drive a super high quality of referral traffic to your site. So, what inevitably happens over time and causes a backlink to be broken is in the very nature of the website itself. Your website is going to be constantly expanding, especially a publisher's site. So let's take Architectural Digest. They might be updating their link structure. They might be updating the article. So they have to change the name of the article, which then changes the URL. So there's all these different things that can impact the connectivity of a backlink. So when we get a client in, the absolute lowest hanging fruit is to go in and do what we call reclaim broken backlinks, make sure that they're fixed and connected again. This not only gives us more immediate SEO power than having to acquire new ones, but it also allows you to leverage other initiatives like PR to the very best ability. Because most people in this industry, most brands in this industry have been investing in PR for quite some time.
Yeah. So it's making sure you've got the functionality there and the connections. That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I won't ask you to do any more, but there's I'll put some links to your LinkedIn, but there's loads of videos that that have got a wealth of pocket-sized information, which is really great. But have you found that a useful marketing tool for yourself? What's the impact of those kind of posts?
I mean, LinkedIn has been doing really well. I can't wait to increase that cadence. So right now I'm only posting 3 days a week. It was important for us to kind of do something realistic given my bandwidth and my team's bandwidth. But eventually we want to increase that up to 5 days a week.
Wow.
And then I know it's like crazy. Uh, but for us, I mean, our lead generation is really tough. SEO, as you mentioned earlier in the episode, is very mistrusted. And so we have to do things a little bit differently than most companies. Trade shows is by far one of our biggest marketing business development events that we can do, where I just walk from booth to booth, say hi, give my little 30-second commercial if they're interested. I schedule a meeting with them for a later
Yeah.
date. If they're not, I say, let's hang out next trade show.
Right. Okay. Yes. I was wondering how you apply your thinking to yourself. It's often it's
Mhm.
often easier to work for other people than try and do your own thing, isn't it? Do you?
Oh my gosh, the cobbler's kids without the shoes.
Yes.
I think everybody feels that at some point.
Yeah. But
But
you're doing face to face, walking the stands, introducing yourself.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, bottom line is that cold email doesn't work at all for SEO.
Mm.
Surprise, surprise. It's very difficult. We will have a salesperson here shortly that will help with cold outbound in terms of cold calling, but it really needs to be at this point a relationship game. And then we might add in, like one idea I have to add in is device ID or geofencing ads around the trade shows. So I
I
think the
see.
key for us is going to be like continuing to see how we can optimize things that are working,
Yeah.
and then also spend some time trying to find new channels.
Yeah. So you're looking
Um,
at
yeah.
the data behind that to see which is going to work the best.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, similar to product brands, which people don't think about with marketing agencies, but we also have to do some sort of product and service development ourselves as a marketing firm. So, I mean, we're looking at, doing PR services or buying a PR firm to acquire because PR is doing so well and
Yeah.
it has such alignment with SEO. So, there's a lot of things we're noodling on right now in all the
Sounds
free time
good.
that we have.
In all the free time, in between all your posts. We talked earlier before we started recording about, relaxing. What do you do? How do you relax, or have you not got time for that?
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga and Real Housewives on Bravo.
Oh, I see. It's a good
Yep,
combination.
and reading the latest Eric Larson book.
All right, okay. There's some good tips there. What do you think are the challenges then, or the opportunities for your business over the next, 18 months to 5 years? How do you see the future?
I think definitely developing our services, expanding those out is going to be a big opportunity for us. I think bringing more and more people in-house. We currently work off of, like, we have some people in-house, but we work off of a sort of hybrid business model where some are 1099, some are in-house. At some point for professional services firms, it's going to be much more scalable to have somebody in-house, because their capacity is just different and how much we pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that sounds great. And what keeps you going at this? What your passion? You're very passionate about the whole process. What drives that?
I love business. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I mean, no joke. My neighbors can attest to this. I was knocking on their door trying to sell them things at a very young age. I probably also have some early childhood trauma that makes me feel like I need to be an achiever in order to have value as a person. But that's part joke, part not joke. And
Yes.
I think a lot of high achievers probably are nodding their head like, yep, that's me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like being busy. I like being productive, and I really get a kick out of learning and growing a business. So
That's really interesting. Yeah, that need to be successful. Are
yeah.
you sort of, how would you rate yourself on the scale of being a perfectionist then, just out of interest? If that's not too personal a question. Would you?
I would say like a 7.
Okay, that's not too bad. I think that's quite generous on
Like
yourself.
it's very
Yeah.
important. Discernment and the details are very important.
Yeah.
When I don't succeed, it really hurts and it keeps me up at night. Um, but I also at the same time understand and have to practice, like this is a proactive practice that not everything has to be perfect.
Yes. Yeah. What do they say? Perfection is I've forgotten what it is. It's like the enemy of
So,
progress or something like that.
oh, that is very true.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's something else that's like you should achieve to be 80% perfect or something along those lines
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what you should achieve to do.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if, yeah, exactly. It's like it's almost better to get it out and finished rather than to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
well, I wasn't expecting this little segue, but so I could have done a better job of saying those statements because they're kind of well known. In fact, I think I did an 80% version of
There you
describing
go. You did an 80%.
what I'm trying to say.
That was actually perfect. The
I
universe works in mysterious ways.
think we got the message over. I'd like to thank Maggie for taking the time to speak to me. It's really great to speak to someone who is so passionate about what they do and has developed a really great understanding of the dynamics and the processes of her business and how to measure success and how to create strategies and understand their impact. It's really impressive the amount of research they do and their human-centered approach to how to market a company or design practice really sets them apart, and the way in which they build long-term relationships means you have a really strong partner with your marketing team that you can work with over a long period of time. Maggie really demystifies the process and the mechanics of SEO optimization, and she's got loads of helpful guides and tips on LinkedIn and other platforms. I've got some links in the show notes for that. I'd like to thank Dave Clark from I Am the How for production support and invaluable advice in the setting up of this podcast. Kay Hansen for her planning support and co-hosting of these and our educational podcasts for the University of Plymouth. And Mark Frith for the music. I'd love to hear your feedback on the podcast. Leave a comment or get in touch via the website or Instagram. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.